Cool. Hello and welcome to Paradise Killer at LudoNarraCon 2021. We are Kaizen Gameworks. I am Ollie and this is...
I'm Phil.
And we are the two founders of Kaizen Gameworks. And we're doing a number of videos for LudoNarraCon 2021. Thank you very much to fellow traveller for inviting us back. And this first video is going to be looking back at Paradise Killer's release 7 or 8 months ago. I should say that LudoNarraCon is a narrative game festival running this weekend on Steam. There's discounts on a load of games, a load of very good games, and every exhibitor is running live streams like this. Well, looping streams of video all weekend where you can find out a bit more about the developers and the games.
There's a load of demos running as well for games that aren't out yet.
Yes, we did a demo last year and that went very well, so I thoroughly recommend checking some more of the exhibitors out and playing some demos and looking at some streams. It's a very, very good initiative that Fellow Traveller are running. Fellow Traveller, of course, is the publisher of Paradise Killer, for full disclosure. So, so we are going to play a bit of the game and talk about the game and talk about what happened on the road to release and the release and where we're at. So, Paradise Killer, for anyone that's not aware, is a first-person open-world murder mystery where you play as the exiled investigation freak Lady Lovedies, who has been called back down from exile from up here down onto Paradise Island to investigate the mass murder of the ruling council in this building that you can see in the distance here. And the point of the game is to investigate the crime in any way you want and to accuse anyone you want. At the end of the game, there's a number of trials that you go through to determine who's guilty, but unlike most narrative games, we don't ask you to find the correct answer. We only ask that you find a truth that is meaningful to you. So, you will find loads of different evidence in any order. Again, unlike other narrative games where you are forced to investigate each crime scene in order and find every bit of evidence and then jump through the narrative hoops that the designers want you to. We just kind of let you have at it. And the game is about 15 hours, 12-15 hours long if you do everything. But you can complete the game, so we've seen a speedrunner do it in 5 minutes, because once you're down on the island, you can just initiate the trials whenever you want, and just blast through them with whatever evidence you've got, and that's a completely valid playthrough. It's you assemble your evidence and take it to judge, and then again, you're not trying to find the correct answer, you're trying to find the answer that you want and then prove it. So you never fail, you never have to retry. It is all about whether you can prove it or not, and your understanding of the crime and everything that happened. So, that's Paradise Killer. I'm going to go for a wander rather than just messing around in this one location. We released the game 7 or 8 months ago.
September 4th, 2020.
A day that will live in infamy. And
Tony Hawk's came out the same day.
Tony Hawk's did come out the same day, and that was weird, since we used to play Tony Hawk a lot together. And then, since then, we launched the game. We set up Kaizen 2.5 years before the game came out, and we expected, we're both ex-professional game developers and now extremely unprofessional game developers, and we expected to launch the game and it to be like, okay, that was a good laugh, we've burnt all of our savings now, now we have to go and get real jobs back in game development, because this wouldn't have been a success, and it would not pay the rent. So, but instead, we have not bought yachts. I always say that's my measure. Has this been a success? We have not bought yachts. However, response to this game has far outstripped what we thought was going to happen.
Yeah.
We've been blown away by the response. We've had amazing Game Critic reviews. We've had phenomenal Steam reviews.
Yeah, it's.
Go on.
I was going to say, it is just mind-blowing. Like, when you consider...
I don't.
like, when you're making the game, you go through all the levels of success you might see. It goes from we were going to sell nothing, and this is going to be a complete disaster, right through to, like, hey, maybe we can make this our long-term career. Like, that's the wildest dream. And, yeah, it's nuts to kind of hit that point. Like, you know, as you said, we're not in yachts or anything, but we are in a point where we can say the game has been way more successful than we ever anticipated, which means we can do some cool things with the studio. But it's just wild to have got there. Like, considering the day before we released, we genuinely had no idea how well people would like this game. And I think everyone says it, but we knew this game is super divisive. We knew it's not for everyone. And we made some quite wild choices with, like, the appearance and the design. And, like, people are going to love it or they hate it, knowing that most people probably would hate it. But it's not been that. It's been crazy. It's like so many positive reviews, and it's been just a wild ride.
Yeah, and just a huge thanks to everyone that worked hard on the game and put it out, but thank you so much to the community. I'm just going to change the way the audio plays, and I've forgotten how this inventory system works. There we go. Just to try and get some audio through the mix. No, it is playing from the island. Let's bump this up. And hope.
Yeah, I probably messed with the streaming levels last time we did a stream.
Yeah, sorry. This is very unprofessional, but...
well, as you said, we are extremely unprofessional game developers.
Yeah.
Like, if there's one thing Kaizen has let us do, is make the games the way we want to make them. And it's, like, not complete freedom, because obviously you've still got, like, budgets, and you've got deadlines, and you've got kind of all the requirements of making a game these days, which are numerous. But at least we haven't had to have a 5-hour meeting about how to do this stream or anything like that. We can just sort of go ahead and do it.
Okay, one last trip to the menu. There we go. Right. The music, it was one of the big successes in terms of development, because we didn't know if we were going to get enough money to be able to put in a good soundtrack. And we were thankfully got funding from our publisher and the UK Games Fund that could pay for the soundtrack to be done, and the soundtrack was phenomenal. So, I'm just hopping around the island. What we tried to do with the game is just let you explore in any way you want, whereas a lot of either narrative games, like this dialogue screen here presents like a visual novel, but the game is an open world exploration game as well as that, and we tried to do things that other kind of narrative focused games don't. So we've got some double jumps, we've got some air dashing, and we just let you hop about. So that's why I'm kind of ignoring doorways and just going wherever I want.
It's kind of reassuring as well that when we were making the game, we made some decisions like, hey, just put in a double jump. And let's give people complete freedom and not give them a lot of direction. And we always wondered, is that going to go for us or against us? Like, are people going to love it, going to hate it? Are they going to be really upset that they didn't find a thing because we didn't point them towards it? Or are they going to think it's too weird to have a double jump? And it's really nice to see that those are things that people actually did enjoy about the game. Like, if we'd followed a lot of conventional advice, we might not have included these things, but because we kind of said, well, this is cool, or this is how we would like to play the game, and we just trusted in that, other people have latched onto it too, and that's really nice. Like, I think it really validates the idea that, if you build something you love, other people will find some love in it as well. Yeah, and that's really kind of nice to hear and nice to feel.
We got some scorchingly bad advice from a quote-unquote industry professional about how we should design this game early on.
We did, yeah.
And I'm very happy to say that we ignored all of that.
And yeah, absolutely.
And made a game that we quite liked. but it has been
Yeah.
7 months and I can't remember the layout of this level.
Yeah, it's been. I don't know about you, but I've not been into it much. Like every game I've ever made, I'll kind of play it to death when you're releasing it, and then you release it and you play it a little bit more just to kind of get that feeling of playing your release game. But after that, like dipping in and out for bugs and other stuff, but it's you kind of need some space after seeing it every day for the best part of 2 years. You need to have a bit of distance from being in it all the time. So I've kind of forgotten some of the parts of the island.
Yeah, I did obviously a lot of playthroughs on the run up to release, and then I did 100% playthrough on Switch when it came out, and then I haven't touched it since. But one of the things we designed for was speed running, and hoped that people would enjoy the speedrunning aspect of it, and they have. A number of people have, and I've seen stuff in this game via speedruns that I didn't know you could do, and it's not just sequence breaking or anything, because I have seen a sequence break that I thought I'd fixed, but we designed it so that people could do things in any order and try and find an optimal route. And I was watching one of them the other day, and I was like, yeah, I do really like this game. Like, a lot of games I've worked on, it's like, just glad to see the back of them. Just kick them out the door and then never think about them again. Or if I do see them again, I'm just like wincing and cringing at some of the stuff that made it into the game. But then I look at this game and I'm just so happy with how much we got in. And that when we talk about stuff that we're doing on our next game, and kind of lessons we learned and systems we learned, there's like so much community response to this has been so validating that it's enabled us to kind of skip a lot of conversations that we had on this game on our next game, because now it's like, okay, we made some correct decisions and some incorrect ones, but we can take those correct decisions and just implement a kind of similar mechanics or similar like player experience and just avoid that conversation entirely. And it's just like, yep, okay, we're going to do this.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much self-doubt when you're making a game, especially when there's so few of you making a game. Like, predominantly, it was you and I having talked all the time about what's right, what's wrong, and there's no one else to kind of validate it. And even if they are, you kind of want to, because you want to keep it your game, you make these decisions and you can be confident in them, but when you actually think about it, you have to decide, is this the right decision for the game? Because ultimately, as a developer, you need to bring in some money to live. So is this going to put people off so they don't buy the game? Are people going to hate it? Are people going to like it? And all the decisions you make, and there's so many decisions in making a game, you become really, really kind of aware of how many you make and how many wrong decisions you can make. But now we've released Paradise Killer and we've seen how people have responded to some of those things that we were doubtful about. Yeah, like you say, it means we can skip that conversation because we know this is kind of the style we wanted, in both terms of like artistic and gameplay feel and all the rest of it. The style we wanted, people accepted it, people responded to it, and now we know that. We know as a studio we can carry on down this path, and that's really cool.
Yeah, and I don't want it to sound like, full of ourselves, because I'm still terrified of everything we do. And
Absolutely.
And we have zero confidence in, the next game or whatever. And
Well, that's not entirely true. Like, it's still, there's always a fear, isn't there?
yeah,
Like,
that's better. Yeah, I really like the new game, and I'm confident that we'll get somewhere with it. But what is cool is kind of. Like, it's not, I don't know what I'm trying to say. What I want to get at is, like, it's still, like, we know what we've made, and while we're both very happy with it, like, it doesn't mean that we're like going in blasé to the next one.
Oh God, no! Like, there's so much to learn from what we've done, and I think it's just like it's a stepping stone. Again, not wanting to sound like too full of ourselves, but because our first game has been quite successful, it's let us get a lot of information and a lot of feedback that we wouldn't have got if it was a less successful game. So we can go into it confident that we kind of understand our style, but I think anyone making almost any game would be somewhat foolish to think it's automatically going to be successful, because that's just not the way the world works. So instead we can focus our efforts on other parts of the game, like explore new areas and explore how we can do things a little bit better, knowing that this kind of core foundation is in good shape. Well, hopefully in good shape. Like, you can't just pick up Paradise Killer and put it into another game. That just won't work. But we understand how we can put all these bits together to make something new. I've been watching my wife play the game a little bit as well. She plays it on Switch every so often, so she's getting through it, and it's quite nice if I just walk in the room, she's playing a bit, just to revisit some of the areas. Like she was in the farm area the other day. It's like, oh, that does look quite cool. And then you'll see some fan art that someone's done of a particular area or a particular character. Like, yeah, that does look good. Like, just the fact that people are spending their time doing fan art and things is phenomenal.
Yeah, it's bonkers. Like, that's another thing that I wasn't. You always hope for something like that, but you never expect it, and that was a dream come true to see. Like the amount and variety of fan art, from 3D printed models to cross stitch to a lot of painting, and it's and comics that I really like. That Love Dies in Yuri comic.
Yeah.
What should we go and do? Let's go and see Sam.
Cool. For anyone interested, we are going to be doing a Q&A video as well. We'll be answering some specific questions about the game, so make sure you tune into that, which I think will be in about 2 days' time. I think 2 days after we record this.
Okay, cool.
Check the schedule for LudoNarraCon, it'll be on there. So, yeah, we could be kind of answering some questions. And what sparked me that is I know someone's asked, like, why do some of the characters have crazy names, like Witness to the End, and then Sam is just Sam. So, we'll be answering bits like that in the Q&A session.
I'm going to give you a spoiler for that answer. It is because we do whatever we want on a moment's notice.
So much of the game is like, right, this has gone in because it needs to be a placeholder, and there it stays.
Yeah.
And that's like some of the naming, some of the UI, some of the gameplay. It's like, yep, in it goes, and if it felt right, it stayed.
Yeah, and then sometimes like that definitely happened with Shinji, everyone's favourite little naked, multi-armed blue demon. Like, he was never supposed to be called Shinji. That was a placeholder name that then never got changed. But then something like Sam, like that was just like, again, like that was never a placeholder name. That was his name, but it was just what we felt like naming someone on the day.
Yeah.
This is Shinji right now. Now, so there's around the island. There's loads of different suspects, a number of different suspects that you need to question. Shinji is not a suspect, and he's just almost like a collectible. But he is like there's a load of him around the island, and he's someone that can give you just a moment of peace from the investigation, because everyone has got a secret to hide or an angle that they want to impart on you, whereas Shinji's got no angle. He's just chaos incarnate. Try and get that other Shinji.
It's we might talk about it a bit more in the Q&A as well, but the establishing Shinji as not being a suspect is one of those things that the game has to do for you, because when something's so open, like in the very early versions of Paradise Killer, a few people tested the game and they were saying, did the island kill the council? Is it some trick? Did Starlight do it? Did Shinji do it? And those are kind of cool thoughts to have, but it can actually kind of undermine the game if you let people think that might happen, or the game might pull the rug out from underneath them. So we had to make it really clear who is and is not a suspect in the game, so you can kind of concentrate on the task at hand rather than thinking that you're going to be deceived. Because a lot of games do deceive to get that climactic moment, and that's sometimes good, it's sometimes bad, but it's not what Paradise Killer was. It was always supposed to be about your choices representing your thoughts through the game process, and we didn't want it to ever feel like you're being tricked.
Yeah, we weren't out to trick players or try to be clever with a reveal that you could never see coming or anything. I'm not into that at all. So we have to obey the truth, and we have to always make sure the player is clear on what is going on and what the rules are.
Which is difficult when you don't want to necessarily tell them what's going on.
Yeah.
Like you've got to establish this kind of groundwork for the game, but obviously you can't guide them step by step along the mystery, because that would not be Paradise Killer. That would work in another kind of more linear game, not in Paradise Killer. So interesting, and one of the kind of the bigger challenges, certainly. And I think one of the most validating things I've read since release was we had an article, I'm pretty sure it's in PC Gamer, and the title was something like how a small team created one of the best detective games ever. And I'm not going to say this is one of the best detective games ever, but just the fact that someone's can see like the effort that particularly you went into to kind of construct this game and to make it a satisfying mystery to solve in your own way is really, really nice and really validating.
Whatever, man, I'll say it. One of the best detective games ever made. I got no shame. Hit the buy button if you haven't bought Paradise Killer yet and you're watching on Steam. Buy button's right there. Get me that yacht.
Yep. Yes. Well, 2 yachts,
You can come visit mine.
Oh, good. It'd
be like one of our many forays into GTA Online where I'd buy some bunker or something and then everyone comes to visit.
Yes. Yeah, we play that for 5 minutes, realise
yeah.
Here it is, and then go home again. So what's been your big thing post-release? Has there been anything that's really jumped out at you as oh man, this has been a good experience? Because there's so many things that have happened that we never expected to happen. Like you mentioned earlier, we didn't expect to have a really good soundtrack. We didn't expect to have a vocal track. Never expected to have vinyl printed.
That's weird as well.
Mm. A lot of that.
So I was as a designer that focuses on player agency and systems. I'm not into set pieces and scripted stuff and forcing the player to do certain things. I prefer games that are systems based. And like I said, we designed for speedrunning as a way of keeping the system sacred. But I didn't know if anyone would care enough to speedrun it. And so for me, that was like one of the best things in the world, was seeing speedrunners get into it and do stuff that I didn't know you could do. I didn't try very hard, but before the game came out, I got my completion down to 11 minutes, and then the first 0% or any percent speedrun I saw was 5 minutes. And I watched how they did that, and that was they knew how this game controlled and could do things that I didn't realise. And then seeing I saw a full 100% speedrun in 2 hours, which is insane.
That is crazy.
Yeah, I didn't realise that was possible. And then there was a good any percent speedrun that did all convictions, and they got that done in an hour. And I want to be clear again, if you're thinking about buying this game and you're like, well, an hour doesn't sound like very much of a video game, you will not do a full conviction playthrough in an hour on your first go.
Mm-hmm.
So it was cool to see, that was really cool to see some people engaging with our systems in a really meaningful way after a kind of a meaningful first playthrough. You know, like one of my first game loves was Resident Evil, like 1 or 2, and I never did it at the time, so I was an idiot child. But those games, like when you first play through them, are what, like 12, 14 hours, and but they can be completed in an hour and a half, and the game kind of lets you know about that because of the grading system. It's not like, you know, hidden, and I think that really stuck with me. Like, you should be able to make a game where there is a no damage run. Like a no damage run in a very small amount of time, and I think that informed a lot of what I hold dear as a designer later on.
Yeah, it's something that because obviously when you're designing a game, there's so many depths to it, and you can create the game to have this beautiful, well-produced experience throughout. But if you design it to have some kind of solid core systems underneath that can then be kind of molded to shape, then you've got this really nice foundation which people can exploit, or which just allow the game to be entertaining no matter how long. If a game is 50 set pieces and you have to go through those 50 set pieces, then sure, that's one thing. But if you have just a few systems and let players explore and discover and almost imagine those set pieces more than actually experiencing them, then you've got, I don't know, you've got a somewhat more satisfying game, certainly a more replayable game, because you know, games, it's probably my bias, but games are meant to be explored, and you know, I've just finished a game of a playthrough of Devil May Cry 5, and immediately I want to go back into it and play it again, knowing what I know now and how to play it. I want to do it again, and my second playthrough will be different to my first one because of what I've learned, and I think that is kind of important to what we both think about making games. Definitely.
What was your big kind of moment after ship?
I mean, there's been a few. Certainly, the vinyl was one of them. Seeing some of the articles and headlines is a major thing. Like, I've had a real issue, and I think it's because I'm quite an introvert person, but I really struggle to read reviews and things because it's such a personal game to me that for the longest time I've not sat and properly read anything about the game. And it's not because I'm scared of reading the criticism, but I think I'm just not someone who likes to put too much of myself out there, and this game is definitely a lot of me out there, and it feels like I don't know, it's kind of a weird, maybe it's a form of anxiety, I don't know, but it just made me a little bit uncomfortable to, you know, to have people almost enjoying something I've made. Maybe I didn't realise I could make it. And so personally for me, it's taken almost all of the 7 months, but I finally realised that I did make Paradise Killer and people do enjoy it. And it's a huge thing. Like, it's so crazy to me that that people have enjoyed a thing I've made. And it's not the first time, you know, I've made games in the past that people have enjoyed, but again, because it's so personal, just that realisation that perhaps I do have something to say, something to share, is quite a nice one. And I think it's just made me a more confident person more generally. I feel like I can be a bit more myself, which is really nice because... Sorry?
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really nice because, you know, you sit there making a game. As I said before, you're full of self-doubt, which is completely normal. But yeah, realising, especially with Paradise Killer, because the decisions we made were personal, like people saying, "Yep, this is cool." I go, okay, other people do like the same thing as me. You know, Paradise Killer's got this very kind of DIY punk aesthetic thing going on, which is certainly not a thing you see a lot of anymore. Everything's very overproduced, but having that there and people saying, "Yes, I like it," just makes me feel like I've found a bit more of a place in the world, and that's really cool. I'd hate to be like recognised or famous or anything like that. I certainly don't want that. but just knowing I've contributed towards something people enjoy is a good feeling.
Well, that is a wonderful sentiment.
Excellent. I'm glad. Sharing. Cool. So, we should probably wrap this one up.
Yep.
Excellent. So, yeah, as I say, we've got a couple of other videos coming up as part of LudoNarraCon. There's going to be a new video each day, so check them out. And as Ollie said before, there are a whole bunch of other games and exhibitors. There's some streams, there's some panels that are going on, loads of gameplay demos, so get on it.
Yeah, fill your boots and discover something new.
And buy Paradise Killer.
And buy, you know, and if you need to, just make some more Steam accounts so you can buy multiple copies.
Yeah, we don't mind.
I ain't no cop.
You know,
I'll let you do that.
Excellent. So yeah, get it on Steam. You can get it on Switch. We've also got Artbook and OST, which is on Steam. Artbook's also on itch. OST is on Bandcamp, and the vinyl's out there, and the CDs ready for pre-order, which you can find. So
that's so weird. Like saying all that.
Yeah.
That
I mean, a CD. I talked about having a vinyl being weird, but a CD, like, I still buy CDs, but I didn't realise most people. Well, sorry, I didn't realise a lot of people did. And it's crazy that a little game we've made has got enough interest for people to want to buy a CD. Nuts.
Yeah,
Real
shout
nuts.
out to Jose for doing an amazing cover art piece for that.
That CD, yeah, very good. Excellent. So, yeah, we'll wrap this up. Again, a big thank you to everyone who contributed to Paradise Killer, everyone who's been part of the community, everyone who bought it, everyone who's watching this. Thank you very much.
Thank you.